The Galactic Empire had ruled the stars for 3 centuries, a sprawling constellation of dominion that stretched from the radiant inner systems to the shadowed fringes of known space. Its fleets were the envy of every star-faring civilization, sleek warships that could annihilate entire worlds in hours, bristling with weapons that bent matter and energy alike to the Empire's will. Its armies were genetically perfected, trained since birth, capable of tactical maneuvers that seemed to anticipate the chaos of battle before it could exist. Entire species had bent, broken, or been assimilated under the Empire's rule, their cultures stripped, their independence erased, their histories rewritten to glorify the imperial standard. Humanity, in contrast, was an afterthought. A few scattered colonies clinging to resource-poor systems at the very edge of explored space, their fleets modest, their technology crude by galactic standards. The Empire's diplomats had dismissed humans as inconsequential long ago, labeling them a minor species of stubborn persistence but limited potential. No intelligence reports had flagged them as dangerous. They were a curiosity at most, a footnote in the annals of imperial oversight. And yet, that footnote would change everything. Ambassador Elias Cade's ship emerged from hyperspace like a whisper in the void. Unlike the Empire's fleets, it bore no insignia of power, no gleaming plating of reinforced alloys, no overcharged energy cores radiating ominous blue light. It was sleek, understated, almost fragile by comparison, a vessel that could have been mistaken for a research ship or a simple transport. And that was precisely the point. The Empire expected nothing of it. As the vessel docked at the orbital station, the jewel of the Empire's authority, a colossal structure of crystalline towers, floating platforms, and energy conduits that pulsed like a heartbeat across the void, imperial security and council members alike gathered to observe the human delegation. They expected fear, awkwardness, perhaps even fumbling negotiation. They did not expect poise. They did not expect confidence. Elias Cade stepped from the airlock in human form, tall, broad-shouldered, with hair combed simply and eyes that radiated intelligence and composure. He carried nothing but a small briefcase, unassuming, its weight and contents a mystery to all who saw it. There were no weapons at his side, no defensive shields that pulsed faintly in alien wavelengths, no enhancements or augmentations that marked him as extraordinary. He was human, as unremarkable as one could appear, and that unremarkable presence would soon become the Empire's greatest terror. The council chamber was vast beyond comprehension, floating platforms spiraling in impossible geometries, crystalline walls catching and refracting the light of distant stars. Every being present was a master of their own kind, an apex predator in intellect, strength, or psychic ability. Multi-eyed Xenothari deliberated silently, their thoughts flickering in patterns incomprehensible to ordinary beings. Varkani commanders adjusted their energy conduits, weapons systems already calibrated to potential threats. And yet, even among such beings, Cade's calm demeanor commanded attention. The Supreme Chancellor's voice reverberated across the chamber, a sonic imprint that could be felt as much as heard. "Ambassador Cade," it intoned, "you are far from your territory. You are fragile, isolated, and your species is known for nothing beyond primitive technology. State your purpose, or depart immediately." Cade's response was measured, deliberate. "I am here to open a dialogue." A ripple of amusement passed through the council. Dialogue with humans? The thought was absurd. The Empire did not negotiate with the inconsequential. Dialogue was a courtesy extended to equals or potential threats. Humanity was neither. Dialogue, asked a four-eyed counselor, scales rippling like the surface of a neutron star. Your species has no standing. Your fleets are pathetic. Your colonies insignificant. Why waste our time? Cade's smile was faint, but certain, a quiet signal of confidence that unnerved more than one observer. Because, he said, you have judged us by the wrong standard. You measure strength by fleets, by armies, by brute power. You do not understand what humans endure, what we adapt to, or what we are capable of when pushed to the edge. You see our current fleets and colonies, but not our potential. That, Supreme Chancellor, is your error. The chamber erupted in murmurs, not of fear yet, but of curiosity. The counselors had underestimated humanity for centuries, and now, for the first time, they were being challenged not with weapons, not with fleets, but with words. Words that carried a weight they had not calculated, a confidence they had not encountered. Cade opened his briefcase. The sound it made simple metal against metal seemed almost trivial, even ceremonial. But what emerged was anything but trivial. The device inside hummed faintly, a vibration that resonated in the bones of those present, subtle but impossible to ignore. It was metallic, compact, elegant, almost delicate in appearance, yet it exuded an undeniable aura of power. The council leaned in instinctively, senses straining as the device began to unfold, expanding into impossible geometries, light bending in ways that violated every law of physics the Empire believed immutable. You have underestimated us, Cade said simply. We endure. We adapt. We survive. We create. While empires rise and fall, we persist. And now, we bring the measure of our ingenuity to your doorstep, not in anger, not in conquest, but in demonstration of what you cannot comprehend. The chamber fell into silence, heavier than any before. Counselors tried to shield themselves, to assert psychic dominance, to trigger defensive systems, but the energy radiating from the device, subtle yet absolute, rendered every conventional measure irrelevant. It was not destruction. It was revelation. Humanity's capability, its creativity, its resourcefulness, its ability to endure and innovate was now visible in a form the galaxy could not ignore. For the first time in 3 centuries, the Galactic Empire faced the truth. Humans were not what they had assumed. They were not weak, not insignificant, not inconsequential. They were intelligent, adaptable, relentless. A species that could take the impossible and make it their own. A species that, given a chance, could reshape entire systems, outthink entire fleets, and survive what others could not. Cade's gaze swept the council, calm, unwavering, carrying the quiet certainty of a species that had survived countless trials. You have measured us by the wrong standard, he said. Now you understand your mistake. Humanity has arrived. And in that moment, the weight of 3 centuries of arrogance and dismissal began to crumble. The Galactic Empire had been confident, unshakable, absolute. And now, with 1 ambassador and 1 device, their entire perception of reality and their understanding of power was about to be rewritten. The ambassador had arrived, the Empire had been warned, and the galaxy would never be the same. The council chamber had been a place of order for centuries. Each member carried the weight of countless victories, decades of political maneuvering, and psychic dominance that few could resist. The room itself seemed designed to amplify authority. Crystal platforms hovered in precise, impossible angles. Reflecting the starlight outside, ambient energy flows pulsed along conduits embedded in the walls, humming with the power of the Empire's technological supremacy. Every counselor felt invincible here. Every strategy meticulously calculated, every motion anticipated. And yet, a single human had walked into their midst. Elias Cade stood before them, the embodiment of calm confidence. His ship, a modest, unarmed vessel, was a symbol of insignificance to the Empire. He himself bore no augmentations, no genetic enhancements, no aura of innate authority. He was human, simple, unthreatening, and that was exactly why the Council had underestimated him. The Supreme Chancellor's voice, a commanding resonance that had silenced planets and fleets, addressed him. "You are far from home, human. You are fragile, scattered, and your species is known for nothing beyond primitive tools and meager colonies. Speak your purpose, or leave." Cade did not flinch. His calm, deliberate words cut through the room with quiet power. "I am here to open a dialogue." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Not hostility, but amusement. Humans negotiating with the Empire? The absurdity was breathtaking to them. "Dialogue," hissed a Varkani counselor, 4 eyes shimmering, scales flickering nervously. "Your species is minor, inconsequential. Your fleets are pathetic. Your colonies, at most, resources waiting to be catalogued. Why waste the Empire's time?" Cade's smile was faint, almost imperceptible, but it radiated confidence. "Because you have judged us by the wrong standard. You measure us by what we currently possess, not what we can become. You see our colonies, you see our fleets, and you assume weakness. But human strength is not measured in numbers, nor in weapons alone. It is measured in our capacity to endure, to adapt, and to innovate when faced with impossible odds. You have overlooked that, and that oversight is the mistake you will now witness." The murmurs grew louder. Alien counselors leaned forward on their floating platforms, their psychic senses probing, scanning, and analyzing. Cade was human, yes, but his presence carried something they could not quantify. His demeanor was deliberate, measured. Every gesture, every inflection, every pause spoke of confidence, foresight, and an unwavering sense of purpose. These traits, they realized, were not easily defeated. The Supreme Chancellor's tentacles twitched in irritation. "You speak boldly, human, but words are nothing. What proof have you that your species deserves even consideration?" Cade reached slowly for the briefcase he had carried since docking. Metal clicked softly as he opened it. The chamber's attention snapped instantly toward the small, unassuming device within. For a moment, the Council suspected it might be a trivial trinket or ceremonial artifact, a symbol at most. But when Cade activated it, the chamber itself seemed to breathe. A low hum filled the room, vibrations that resonated in every being present. Light bent and shimmered unnaturally. Energy conduits flickered. Alien psychic shields strained against a force they could not identify. The device expanded in impossible geometric patterns, floating in mid-air, light refracting in ways that defied every law of physics the Council believed immutable. This was no weapon in the traditional sense. It was an expression of human ingenuity, distilled into matter and energy. "You see," Cade said, calm and precise, "we endure. We survive. We adapt. While empires rise and fall, humanity persists. While your fleets crush and dominate, we create, innovate, and outlast. This device is not our full power. It is a demonstration. What you witness here is only a fraction of what humans are capable of when necessity demands it. Some counselors instinctively attempted to interfere. Psychic waves, energy pulses, and defensive systems activated, but the device reacted instantaneously. It bent and adapted, neutralizing every attempt. The Council, confident in their control over the universe, realized that nothing they had ever faced behaved in this manner. The human ambassador did not threaten with fire or force. He threatened with intellect, with creativity, with the certainty of species-level resilience. Murmurs of fear rippled through the chamber. Not overt terror, but a subtle, creeping realization. Humans were not what they had assumed. The Empire had built strategies to contain, to conquer, to neutralize threats, but humanity had introduced a variable the galaxy had never accounted for. A species that could think, adapt, and survive under unimaginable conditions could not be anticipated or contained. Cade closed the briefcase with deliberate care, the energy dissipating but leaving an indelible impression. The Council stared in stunned silence, their arrogance stripped away by a species they had once considered inconsequential. They had underestimated humanity, and now they knew the cost of that error. For the first time in centuries, the Empire faced a species whose power was not defined by fleets or genes, but by adaptability, creativity, and unyielding will. A single human had arrived and reshaped their perception entirely. The room pulsed with unspoken understanding. The galaxy had changed. Humanity was no longer to be dismissed. Cade's eyes swept the chamber, calm, patient, unyielding. You have measured us by the wrong standard. The galaxy will learn soon enough that humans endure, humans adapt, and humans prevail. You will not underestimate us again. Silence reigned. Alien minds struggled to comprehend a force that was not strength, nor numbers, nor psychic dominance, but something more subtle, more fundamental, the human capacity to endure, create, and outthink any challenge. The stage had been set. The demonstration of underestimation was complete. The Council had glimpsed a truth that would echo across the stars. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Council chamber, once a monument to absolute authority, fell into an almost tangible tension. Every counselor, multi-eyed Xenothari, crystalline Varkani, and others beyond simple description hovered in their respective platforms, bracing for a display they assumed would be weak or symbolic. They had underestimated humanity, but arrogance still lingered. The chamber pulsed with ambient energy, designed to amplify the power of its occupants. Every sensor, every psychic node, every conduit of authority was in their favor. And yet, the human ambassador remained calm, unshaken, exuding an almost imperceptible force, confidence born of survival, of ingenuity, of experience at the edge of impossible odds. Cade opened the briefcase fully. Inside lay a device that appeared deceptively simple, compact, metallic, unadorned. It would have seemed harmless to any species measuring threat by size, firepower, or energy output. But humans measured differently. Humans understood adaptation, creativity, and leverage in ways the Empire had never considered. With a deliberate motion, Cade activated the device. The hum began as subtle, almost inaudible, but it quickly spread into a resonant vibration that the chamber could feel in the bones. The crystalline walls shimmered and warped subtly, not violently, but unnervingly light, bending in ways the Council's optics could not explain. The air itself seemed charged with possibility. The Council reacted instinctively. Psychic shields flared. Energy conduits surged. Defense protocols initiated. The Supreme Chancellor's voice boomed across the chamber. "Chancellor, contain it. Nullify it. Now." But the device did not merely resist, it adapted. Energy pulses that would have obliterated weaker constructs were absorbed, neutralized, and folded back into patterns that defied comprehension. Every counselor attempted to manipulate, probe, or counter the effect, but every effort was anticipated, not by foresight, but by a responsiveness that transcended conventional calculation. The humans were not attacking. They were demonstrating the culmination of resilience, ingenuity, and adaptability, and the Council had no defense against a species capable of thinking beyond conventional limits. Cade spoke, his voice calm, deliberate, and resonant. "Cade, you have judged us by the wrong standard. You have measured humanity by what we possess today, not what we can become tomorrow. What you see here is but a fraction of our capacity. We endure. We adapt. We survive. We innovate. And we do so in ways your calculations cannot anticipate." As he spoke, the device projected holographic overlays into the chamber, visualizations of concepts that bent logic itself. Space folded in miniature simulations. Energy shifted form and matter rearranged on the quantum scale. A fleet of hypothetical ships blinked in and out of existence, forming and dissolving at speeds impossible for the naked eye to comprehend. It was not brute force, it was ingenuity manifest, the ability to manipulate possibility itself, to shape reality with understanding, not aggression. The Council faltered. Beings who had ruled entire sectors, who had crushed rebellions and eradicated civilizations with ease, now struggled to comprehend a species that could defy their expectations without even firing a shot. Arrogance faltered, replaced by disbelief. Some counselors experienced panic for the first time in centuries, their psychic networks overstrained by unpredictability. The Supreme Chancellor's tentacles twitched in irritation and fear, his mental commands for control rebounding into emptiness. Cade closed the briefcase slowly, the energy folding back into its compact form. The chamber fell into silence. The Council could not ignore what they had seen. Their systems had been bypassed, their psychic manipulations neutralized, and their perception of power challenged in a single demonstration. Humanity's ingenuity had revealed a truth that the galaxy would have to reckon with. Humans were adaptable, creative, and relentless. They were not to be measured by fleets, colonies, or weapons. They were to be respected for their ingenuity, their will, and their capacity to survive and thrive where others could not. For a long moment, the chamber remained still. The ambient hum of the Empire's technology continued, but its confidence was gone. Every counselor, in every species present, understood a simple but terrifying truth. Humanity had arrived. The species they had dismissed, mocked, and ignored was capable of reshaping the very rules of engagement. They were not insignificant. They were unstoppable not through brute force, but through the unyielding force of creativity, intelligence, and determination. Cade's gaze swept the chamber. Calm, steady, unflinching. "You now understand your mistake," he said softly, yet every word resonated through the Empire's halls. "You have measured us incorrectly. Humanity has arrived, and from this moment forward, your perception of power must include us, or you will face consequences you cannot foresee." Silence followed. The council, the pinnacle of the Empire's authority, could not respond, not because they lacked ability, but because they could not conceive how to counteract what they had just witnessed. The demonstration had done its work. Humanity was no longer a minor species on the fringe of the galaxy. Humanity was a force. Subtle, intelligent, unpredictable, and it had made itself seen. The first step in the Empire's reckoning had been taken. The ambassador had not struck a blow, destroyed a fleet, or toppled a world. He had done something far more powerful. He had reshaped the Empire's understanding of what a human could be. And the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. The council chamber, once a symbol of absolute power, had grown unnervingly quiet. Even the ambient hum of energy conduits felt diminished, as though the room itself sensed the shift. The councilors, beings who had commanded entire star systems, who had crushed rebellions and subjugated planets with ease, were now uncomfortably aware of a single species that had arrived at their doorstep with the audacity to challenge centuries of assumption. Elias Cade remained calm, his posture deliberate, his eyes steady. The briefcase containing the device that had so thoroughly demonstrated human ingenuity sat closed at his side, unassuming yet potent, a silent reminder of the human capacity the Empire had ignored for so long. The Supreme Chancellor's voice broke the silence, trembling slightly, an unfamiliar sound. "Human, you speak of strength that defies comprehension. Yet your species is alone. Your colonies are scattered. You are weak." Cade's expression did not waver. His voice carried measured authority, resonating through the chamber and into the minds of all present. "You have measured humanity incorrectly. Strength is not merely the sum of fleets, armies, or psychic power. Strength is the capacity to endure, to adapt, to innovate when circumstances demand it. Humanity has survived where others would have failed, rebuilt where others would have abandoned hope, and learned from every trial the universe imposed upon us. That is our strength." The council stirred uneasily. Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the room. The Varkani commander's 4 eyes narrowed, scales rippling. These Inothari elders leaned forward on their floating platforms, trying to recalibrate their psychic senses to comprehend the human demonstration. They realized that even their most sophisticated predictive models could not anticipate humanity's potential. Cade gestured toward the council, open-handed and deliberate. "I am not here to demand concessions. I am here to make one thing clear. Humanity is no longer a minor species on the periphery of your empire. We are present, we are capable, and we will not be dismissed again. You now have 2 choices: recognize our presence and treat us as equals, or ignore this warning and bear the consequences of underestimating a species that refuses to be erased." The Supreme Chancellor's tentacles twitched with tension. Consequences? What consequences could a single species possibly impose against the might of the Galactic Empire? Cade smiled faintly. "You saw only a demonstration, and it unsettled you. That is but a fraction of what humanity can do when fully engaged. We do not seek war, but you must understand that our ingenuity, our will, and our capacity to adapt cannot be predicted, contained, or controlled. Humanity will endure, and those who dismiss us will regret it. This is your warning." The chamber fell into a stunned, almost reverent silence. The counselors, used to commanding obedience, realized they had been shown a force they could neither measure nor dominate. Every member of the chamber felt the weight of this new reality, The humans before them were not merely clever or tenacious. They were unpredictable, unbound by conventional logic, and capable of transforming the very context of power itself. Cade closed the briefcase, the soft click echoing in the chamber. The energy had dissipated, but the impression remained. The Council's confidence, built over centuries, had been shaken. They had assumed humans were minor, manageable, irrelevant, and now they understood that assumption had been catastrophically wrong. "You have underestimated us for centuries," Cade said quietly, each word deliberate and piercing. "You will not make that mistake again." The Council struggled to respond. For the first time in recorded history, their deliberations were silent, uncertain. The Supreme Chancellor's mind raced, attempting to calculate the implications of what they had witnessed. They had faced rebellions, psychic assaults, and technological threats, yet none had been as subtle, as terrifyingly effective as a single human who could command the respect of the galaxy through intellect, presence, and ingenuity alone. Cade's gaze swept the chamber one final time. Calm, unyielding, human, the warning had been delivered, the demonstration complete. And in the silence that followed, the Council understood with absolute clarity: humanity had arrived. The galaxy's calculations, its hierarchies, its assumptions, all had been challenged by a species they had dismissed. The Supreme Chancellor finally spoke, voice subdued and uncertain. "We understand. You are capable." Cade inclined his head slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement rather than triumph. "Yes, capable, resilient, and present. Do not forget it. Humanity will endure. Humanity will adapt. Humanity will prevail. That is the truth you must carry forward." For the first time, the Council members felt something foreign respect laced with apprehension. They had met the human species on the edge of perception, and it had irrevocably altered the way they would view the galaxy. The warning had been clear, undeniable, and permanent. The ambassador had made his point. He had arrived, and now the galaxy, or at least the Empire, would never underestimate humanity again. The Council chamber remained silent long after the human ambassador had finished speaking. The ambient energy of the Empire's grand station hummed faintly, but it no longer dominated the room. The members of the Council, Xenothari, Barkani, and other alien species, whose histories spanned centuries, hovered in stunned quiet. Every mind present was grappling with the same realization: humanity had arrived. Not as a minor curiosity, not as an inconsequential species, but as a force that had rewritten their perception of what was possible in the galaxy. Elias Cade turned calmly, his footsteps deliberate, and approached the exit. Every movement exuded control and confidence, the quiet assurance of a species that had endured every trial thrown at it and had come out stronger. The briefcase, now inert, was a reminder of the subtle power he carried: not weapons, not armies, but the distilled essence of human ingenuity, creativity, and resilience. The Supreme Chancellor's voice broke the silence, tentative and uncertain. "Human, you have shown us that we underestimated your species." Cade paused, glancing back over his shoulder. His eyes were steady, calm, unyielding. "Yes, you have underestimated humanity. Do not make that mistake again." With that, he stepped into the airlock. Behind him, the Council remained frozen, their confidence fractured, their assumptions shattered. The airlock closed, and the vessel's engines ignited softly. The human ship departed, not with a blaze of aggression, but with a quiet, deliberate grace that reflected the patience and intelligence of its crew. Outside the station, The stars stretched endlessly across the void. Humanity's vessel glided effortlessly among them, a symbol of resilience and determination, of a species that had survived the edge of the galaxy, endured centuries of obscurity, and now stood ready to assert its place among the stars. Within the council chamber, whispers began to spread soft, hesitant, tinged with awe and apprehension. They are capable. They survived what we thought would destroy them. They adapt beyond our calculations. The Supreme Chancellor's multifaceted visage reflected both incredulity and reluctant respect. "We misjudged them," he murmured. "We truly misjudged them." Across the galaxy, the echo of that realization would ripple outward. Humanity, once dismissed, was now acknowledged as a species to be reckoned with. Their fleets might be modest, their colonies scattered, but their creativity, ingenuity, and unyielding spirit could not be contained or predicted. Humanity's power lay not in domination, but in intelligence, in adaptability, in the quiet certainty that they would endure, survive, and flourish under any circumstances. Elias Cade's vessel continued its silent journey, leaving the station behind, carrying with it the weight of a message that would change the Empire and the galaxy forever. Humans were no longer to be underestimated. Not once. Not ever. The stars stretched before him like a canvas of infinite possibilities. Humanity had arrived, and the universe would soon learn the full measure of what it meant to face a species that thrived on adversity, that converted challenge into triumph, and that refused to bow to expectation. The ambassador looked out at the endless expanse, calm, resolute, and determined. Humanity had arrived. The Empire had realized its mistake, and the galaxy, whether it knew it yet or not, would never be the same again. The stage was set for a new era, one in which humanity's ingenuity, courage, and relentless determination would shape the destiny of the stars. The galaxy had glimpsed a truth it could no longer ignore. Humanity had arrived, and humanity would endure,